The best lawyers aren't found in the big law firms. They're found in the stories of those who left. Hello, listeners and viewers of the Sell Life for Lawyers podcast. Today, I've got with me Andy Parker of Understand Your Group, a new lead loot vendor. And Andy, I'm going to hit you with the hard question from the get-go. What the hell is strategy? It's a word thrown around. I even use it. But until I got on with you knowing this is what you guys do, how do you define it? Because that's what you're all about.
Yes, strategy, and I'm not going to claim that this is my definition because there are many brighter minds that have worked in this area than me. But strategy, as a summation of some of the best minds, is a system of choices defined by an end state, a desired end state, that help you filter the everyday activities. So what does that look like in application? Well, do you have a framework of how you're going to say yes and no to things? Because when you're making strategic decisions, the majority of things are going to be no, because if I was to pose to you 10 questions, there's a high likelihood that all 10 of them are not going to be strategically aligned to your particular endpoint. And so therefore, strategy is all about saying no and staying focused on things that are going to move you from where you are to where your desired endpoint is.
Yeah, I like that. And that's because, and I'm literally going through it at the moment because we're a startup and there's a billion different opportunities at our thingo. And I keep saying, we got to just hone in. No. What's the overall strategy here? How are we trying to get here? Which is great. You're right. It's saying no as quick as possible can be difficult. So let's go back a bit.
Yeah.
How did you get into this game? What did you do when you left school and then to now?
So yeah, I was homeschooled, and so for high school, and I got to grade 11, and I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. That's what I wanted to do for my adult career, and cricket was off the table. That's, I think, every young boy's dream is I want to play for Australia cricket. Quickly realized it was me and a million other young boys all vying for 12 spots. So I got rid of that, decided to try my aim for something a little bit more achievable, like professional skateboarding. So that didn't go well, clearly, because I'm no longer a professional skateboarder. But it was that season was really formative towards, I guess, the decisions that I made later down the track. And in hindsight, one of the core seasons where I learned the impact of decision making, and to be brutally honest, like I made a lot of bad decisions. Listened to some average advice, didn't necessarily look far enough down the pipeline, but all of that has come full circle, and now I can look at that and go, oh, okay, yeah, I started experiencing strategy not for the first time, but like high consequence competitive strategy in that season. And strategy is a thing that everyone does. It's not necessarily something that everyone is intentional about, but everyone does it because it's about making choices. And so when someone says yes to everything, I think most people could say that we know someone who just is that yes person, that if you ask them to help you move house, it's going to be a yes. If you ask them to look after your dog, it's going to be yes. If you ask them to go into business with you, it's going to be a yes. They have a strategy, they just don't know about it. And it's probably not going to do them all that well unless their end desired state is to have the longest to-do list in the world. So right back then was really cutting my teeth in what decision-making looked like. That sent me into, I did a bridging course into university. I then did a media degree, so applied media through the University of Southern Queensland. Great course, great lecturers, loved the content, loved being able to lean into my creative side. Again, decided, skateboarding maybe there's not enough money there to support a family. So how about being a professional filmmaker? That's achievable in Australia. Let's do that. Also not an achievable career path in Australia for the average person. Like obviously people do it, but wouldn't be something I strategically would advise an 18-year-old to be like, set your mind on being the next Baz Luhrmann. So I did all that, and then went into basically ended up starting my own business, doing media stuff, consulted / subcontracted for a bunch of larger media organizations. And then, oddly enough, the mining tax sort of happened. And all these clients just disappeared overnight. And that threw me for a lurch, because all of a sudden it was like, okay, I've done all this work and now I need to go pay bills next month. And so I ended up going into sales. And this is where all of a sudden I start to understand that I had a particular persuasion towards words, particular persuasion towards high level and systems thinking, and a particular persuasion towards revenue generation. If we boil it all the way down, like, I was very good at sales, very good at understanding customer journeys, and really, really good at designing and explaining these systems. And so I sort of worked my way through sales, built sales training, designed programs for JB Hi-Fi. They didn't get implemented, but I was able to present them. And then one day my mentor, look, there's lots that happen in there, but one day my mentor was just like, Andy, have you ever thought about doing marketing? Like, it's not that far off from sales. Sure. So I did a business, master's of business, specialized in marketing. And from the very first lecture, that was the moment that I realized that marketing and the world of business, that was my playground. That was, everyone spoke the same. I interpreted the right information. Like, it was just, it felt like I'd come home. And so, and I never looked backwards. I was just this moment of just like, wow, where has this been my whole life? And so from there, it was do some consulting during my master's, ended up consulting for a tech startup, went into agency world. And then at the end of my agency life, I basically was encouraged by the agency boss, hey, go and start your own shop, focus on strategy. That's what you do better than anyone else. Go and do that. You'll be successful. And that's where the company started. So all in all, bit of a journey, but we're here. And it's only in hindsight that I can see all the different pieces sort of clicking together to form what is now Understand Your Group and the organization that we run.
We're doing, that's amazing. And I've taken it right back to the homeschooling thing, because I often say to people, it's a miracle entrepreneurs come out of the education system, because they do. And I went through it, and I knew I was a weirdo, like plain and simple, like not people like trying to stop me doing business and stuff, but I was trying to sell soft drink cans at 12, starting different businesses left and right, doing it all. And I knew, like, it just doesn't fit with the mold of, no, you just follow the path, like go to uni, do this. And so I say it's a miracle. So I think you not or halving the amount of time in that education system, which if anyone actually looks up the history of it, was designed to create factory workers. It was not designed for the world we're heading into, which is where effectively you have your own freedom to choose what you want to do, because AI is going to do a lot of things. So you got to actually know and truly want to take on the problem you're going to solve as an entrepreneur. So I'm sure
AI is going to come up. Yeah, I'm sure AI is going to come up in this conversation, because we're talking marketing and business and future. But on that note, like, I think we live in a day and age where we've never been more empowered to solve problems and commercialize that. The issue is people have not been championed and encouraged to see what value that actually delivers. So when I was doing the sales program with JB Hi-Fi, like, one of the big things was actually helping the sales teams understand that sales is a really, really admirable, I think it's one of the most noble professions you can have, which is really counterintuitive, because everyone, when they think of like, what's an industry or a career path that generally has a negative stigma to it, sales is one of them. Oh, pushy people.
Yep.
Well, sales is actually just helping people with a pain point find a solution to the pain point. So a doctor, in a sense, is in the business of selling.
Yeah.
They just sell really expensive procedures that help really critical needs. But in the case of, for JV Hi-Fi, often, back to school, what's more noble than helping a family that has a limited income that needs to buy 3 laptops for their kids to help their kids have an education? What's more noble than helping them buy a laptop that suits their needs but doesn't overspend and suits their budget?
Yep.
That's awesome. So to be
Yeah.
able to take people from this mindset of my job is to push a product, any product, every product to anyone and everything, through to let me understand their customer journey. And then I need to help them arrive at the conclusion that this solution is the most apt for their pain point, and it will do a satisfactory job of solving it.
Yep.
And it will cost this much, and this is the process, and yada, yada, yada. That was huge. And so for me, I think that the education system, if we tie it back into that, hasn't done a very good job of helping the everyday human, and if we talk Australia, the everyday Australian, understand that if I'm a spiritual individual, if I believe that I've been created to create, then we should be encouraging everyone to create and solve problems. And if you make money in the process of that, even better. And we'll talk about AI in a second, but I think the advent of AI is making this even more accessible, but the perception of it even more further away than ever before. And it's a really interesting world we're venturing into. And I mean, we're excited as an organization because we're leaning both legs, hands, head, everything into this AI stuff.
No, and I think that's an amazing way to put the sales analogy, because that's what I tell anyone. When you're about to start your business as a lawyer, the one thing you need is conviction in what you're doing. And I say no one actually lasts. Like the people who, as soon as you say I'm a salesman, who they picture, and it's Wolf of Wall Street. It's like I really like Grant Cardone. However, the way his persona comes across is a pushy 80s salesman. But I go, no. If you find the solution that I provide to the world, like you said, you do feel an obligation to get that person over the line. And no salesman actually lasts. You can tell the salesmen who are psychopaths because they will just sell whatever they're told. It's assassin, sell this. I don't care if the person needs it or not. They don't last in a job because they don't believe in what they're selling. But the people who last more than a couple of years, it's because they truly believe, and they say no to a client to say, from your example, we need the absolute biggest gaming level computer for our 3 kids to just get online and do the work. No, you don't. You need the bare basics HP Chromebook that's going to do this. And when you actually start, and that's what I tell the lawyers, you're not selling. If someone comes to you and says, I need to get my will done, you're not going to try and do a conveyance for them, are you? Like they're coming to you with a problem. It's not a sales. Oh yeah, I can help you with you. Well, what are you most concerned about? Like you're just asking questions to find out, does what I do, writing it that will actually alleviate the pain you've got? Yes or no? And if it does, then it's not selling, you're offering. Here's what I do for this price. They can reject it, and that's ultimately their decision. And that's that fine line where the sales come in, which I love teaching, is to go, but if you truly think your solution helps them, be persistent. That's what I do. Like I talk to lawyers all the time. I've seen them for 2 years not start the business, but they've jumped jobs because I know they're unhappy. I'm persistent. I go, hey, Andy, I've seen you jump jobs twice now. Let's just chat and see if you can have a go at this self-employment thing. Because I think
I think there's something important in the sales psychology of recognizing that pushy takes many forms. But if someone, and again, if you're talking legal, like the ramifications and consequences of getting it wrong are really large for a lot of people. And so if you then extrapolate that into a different context, a really simple one, someone's walking towards a cliff. So there's a guaranteed bad consequence, maybe not guaranteed, but high likelihood of a bad consequence. And you just send one message, hey, there's danger ahead. You've removed culpability to some degree, but you haven't done a great job of warning. So if you flip that to sales, it's like, if you truly have the solution that is going to mitigate long-term consequences or pain, one message might not be enough, but it's also not, it's not wrong to then keep prompting and to keep circling back. And obviously, you know, that then ventures into the, when they say, oh, I don't want to hear from you, and you keep pushing, like, then you can venture into that world of 80s car salesman sort of vibe. But up until that point, until someone actually explicitly says, no, I don't need, or I don't want what you have to sell, like, quite often it's just people are so caught up with everything else in their world that they need multiple opportunities to buy something. And I think that's, particularly in professional services, that's one of the biggest hurdles we come face with when we're talking about growth systems, because we do a lot in, there's sort of like three key areas that our organization really injects into the clients that we work with. And it all starts obviously with the growth system. So marketing, how do we get the leads? How do we triage the leads? And then how do we service the demand? And when we come to the how do we triage the leads, this is the area where we actually find the most friction, because a lot of people in the professional services space are like, I don't want to be that pushy person. If they need it, they'll come to me. Like the list of excuses is infinitum. But the reality is how many times has someone had to send an email to you just to get you to open it? Or how many times have you seen an update on, I don't know, some update for the ATO, and you're like, oh, I'll star that in my inbox, or flag it in my inbox, I'll read that another day. Like, that's the customer journey that all of our prospects are going through. And so it would be wrong of us to just leave them to their own devices if we truly have the solution. So we're really big advocates of helping people overcome the fear of being pushy, because people will tell you very quickly if you're being too pushy, and that's immediately where you back off. And you never verge into the pushiness. You just wait until they give you that feedback. So what I will say is there's no point in increasing your lead demand unless you're closing your current level of leads at an appropriate clip, which will require a level of diligence and follow-up and all that kind of stuff. So we're really holistic in how we see it, but sales, as it's coming out, is like really core to who I am, and helping people overcome the mental hurdle of between the sliminess of sales that they've experienced and the nobleness of true sales, which is solving pain points.
Yep. No, for lawyers, and that's great. And that's why we're sort of glad to be partnering with you, is because it should come down to, as I tell anyone, having done sales for so long, I can convince someone that the sky is purple if I really want to push, because I know all the persuasion techniques. But why would I ever do that? And I've learned that the longer I get in it, the less pushy I become, because you can just read it and you know. And what that does is, when I do go, actually, you know what, on a call, I think you're wrong. You delaying this decision is you self-sabotaging again. I can be pretty almost forward, but for me, it's to break that pattern, because I can see you've delayed this six times already. Yeah. I'm just going to break the pattern for you. And very rarely does anyone, I don't have that much negative. Yeah. Because you just give people an easy out. Hey, if it's not for you right now, and it's absolutely not, just send me a quick thumbs down or whatever. Easy out. And so, it's a great strategy to be working with.
We actually developed 5 flavors for our business to do exactly that. So our 5 flavors are: we're agile, we're robust, we chase high performance, we're ready to invest, and we expect investment, and we take calculated risks. And those 5 flavors came out of reverse engineering how we operate and the expectations we have of our clients, but also the expectations our clients have of us. So, and so putting that together has actually been really revolutionary for our organization, because, we actually had a law firm that we were trying to close. They just kept pushing it back and back. There's always something in the way of closing the deal. And eventually we just got to the point of just like, that doesn't align with our flavors at all. Like, if this is how they treat just signing the engagement, how are they going to be once we start trying to solve problems in their business? Our flavors are agile, robust, and high performance. Like, just delaying and kicking the can down the road is none of those. And so we actually gave up on that account, and we told them, we just said, look, I don't think we're going to be a good fit, because we are going to be pushy, because we know the ramifications. Once we have the engagement, we know the ramifications of your decisions, and just kicking the can down the road doesn't actually solve the ramification. It just makes it twice as bad. And we're going to be pushing to minimize the amount of ramification, which is going to require action. And it sounds like you aren't ready to take the action. And so our engagement is going to end in frustration, because our expectations are misaligned. So, we developed those 5 flavors for that exact reason, of just filtering out people who we know are not, they might have the pain and we might have the solution, but they don't like how we administer it. And that's also as important to the process as anything.
Get to know. Yeah. Well, it's good, as you said at the start, getting to know as quick as possible. Like I've got a algorithm. I've put everything into algorithms for me, so I can simply make decisions faster than anyone else in life, but then in business as well.
I love
to
that.
go very quickly. Here's a message, or here's something incoming, because there's a billion opportunities incoming.
Yeah.
Does this head toward the 2 goals that we've set for the next quarter? Yes or no? No.
Yep.
Sorry, not right now.
And I think that's where it all ties into the strategy. So for us, like, we are strategy and management consultants, but underneath all of it is that strategy. And we can dive into what does strategy look like practically and the theory around it. But at the end of the day, your strategy is the thing that formulates all your algorithms, all your decision-making frameworks. Everything ties back to your strategy, whether you have a formalized one or not. And so for us, we anchor all our work in that strategy management, because the reality is strategy is really important, but it's also one of the last things that ever gets done in a business, because it feels so opaque. It feels so pie in the sky. But the reality is it's really important, and it needs to be dealt with regularly. And it needs to be brought some tangibility. And so that's what we try and do with our clients, and we try and help them understand that actually at the top of the ladder of importance, strategy must exist, because all your subsequent decisions are going to be anchored to it, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah. And so on that, because I'm a big believer in, like, in the book, we teach people, like I talk about, you don't necessarily have to have this big whiz bang website or anything when you get started, because you won't yet know necessarily who your ideal client is and where you have the unique advantage and what makes your service differentiated. When do you foresee, I find people take 6 to 9 months to almost discover who they are, particularly for a sole practitioner. You're not just discovering who you are as a lawyer, you're discovering who you are as a person, to then say, from this moment forward, I'm going to start saying no to these types of clients or this type of work because it doesn't align with what works for me. But how early in the piece do you see it needs to come in? Or is it sort of something that you go, maybe there's a couple of pieces you can do at the start? For example, I'm never going to miss a school pickup. Okay, that, like, you've got that in your thing. So then you can at least make decisions to go, if the client books at 2:30, no, because I'm never going to, at least you can sort of do it. And then over time, does it narrow? Or when do you see the overall strategy coming in?
Well, I'll point to our own organization. So underpinning our strategy is my sort of framework for life, really, or purpose. And this is alongside my wife, but for us, underpinning all of it is 3 concentric circles of freedom. So our business and our venture is designed to provide freedom for me, my family, and my immediate family, to my extended family and closest friends, and the people that I don't know or have never met. And so for us, that's a really clear way of us understanding what is the purpose of what we're doing and how do decisions fit into those categories. And my wife actually pulled me up the other day because I presented to her sort of like the new revenue modeling and our financial objectives and how we're going to split it all. And she goes, I don't think that's aligned to your 3 concentrics. And I was like, you're right, it's not. And so we had to go back to the drawing board, realign it. But it's being the ability to have those moments where you go, that's not aligned to where we want to go, is imperative to achieving again, that end state, because we all have an end state, an ultimate end state that we want to achieve, whether it's retirement or whatever. You fill the blank. We have that. Bad decisions don't take us off course purely. They just delay us arriving there. And so I could have gone ahead with it, and we could have done a whole year, and we got to the end and we would have achieved it. And we would have like, yay, we did it. But we would have wasted a year in achieving our end desire. And that's pretty huge when you only get maybe another 40 years to get there. For us, like, a year is a big amount of time. So having those principles, the frameworks, and again, knowing who you are and your non-negotiables, and injecting that into your strategy and structuring your strategy around it, super important, because at the end of the day, the strategy is a vehicle to drive progress towards where you want to go. It isn't the be all end all. And being able to make decisions and know that you've made a good or bad decision is important in that process. I forget what your original question was. I think it was something around.
No, it was about the timing.
How early?
Like how early, particularly to engage an external company like yours to kind of just the same as a marketing agency does. Sometimes just collates your vision and puts it in, can do the creative. The same for you guys is you have the right questions, because ultimately it comes down to better questions equals better outcomes. Yeah. You guys have the right questions to then actually give them a roadmap to say, here's what it is. And from my understanding of what you do, not only the roadmap, but the accountability rails. Like your wife. I'm similar. I've got a wife, and I think people don't realize how powerful that is when you've got a spouse who can objectively just go, call you on your BS effectively, to go, but you said we made a decision, this was the direction, and now we're heading east. Why are we heading east? Not saying heading east is necessarily wrong. But does heading east get us closer to the North Star we were trying to get to? Like you learn to go, yeah, you're right, and then quickly redirect, let the ego take a little hit and back on to, does this task do that?
We got paid more last year for saying no to things on behalf of clients than we actually did for technical implementations. And that's not to say that our technical implementation isn't worth paying for. It was more the fact that running a business just requires so many hats. And hats are a permanent structure that you have, even if you're switching between them really quickly. Once you put a hat on, you have to commit yourself to that hat. And the issue is, when you're wearing so many hats all the time, the decision-making gets blurry. And the delay between making decisions gets blurry. And so the value that we inject for our clients in a non-technical way is really being able to be like, maybe we just need to rebrand a corporate wife. Being like my wife, your wife, your partner, sitting there and just going, hey, you've said this, and what you're about to do is inconsistent with that. Let's hit the brakes and make a better decision. And it's not that we can't go that way, like you said. It's just more like, hey, let's just pump the brakes before we do, because there's an inconsistency here. As to when do you start engaging, say, a third party like ourselves, I'm a big believer in our solutions being packaged in 3 questions. There's a problem statement, a universal solution, and then our mechanism. So the problem is that people wear a lot of hats. So when we're saying people, startup law firms, they wear a lot of hats. There's a lot of hats to be worn, a lot of activities to be done, lots of things on the go all at one time, lots of decisions to be made. That's the problem. The universal solution is you need to have a system in which you segment all of these different activities and allow for proper and data-driven decision-making in each of these activities. That's the solution. And there's lots of ways that you can do that. Like you've done, algorithms, great opportunity to manufacture and leverage technology. Our mechanism is through strategy management. And so we meet with our clients once or twice a month with a dedicated a strategy management session. At minimum, we tell our clients, at minimum this year, you're going to spend 12 hours on your corporate strategy, which is not enough. I don't think anyone in business
small,
is going to say, oh, that's plenty. but at minimum, we are going to bring attention to your strategy for 12 hours. And in that 12 hours, we're going to realign leadership. We're going to allocate out the milestones and the initiatives so that it's a shared burden across the organization. And we're going to bring attention to that strategy for everyone. So this is your contractors, your agencies, your team, your leadership, your spouse, your families, your friends. Like, these are the people that are going, they surround you. You're either leveraging to achieve, or they're supporting you and championing you on your way to a certain space. So why shouldn't they be aware of your strategy? And so we do that in every single session at minimum 12 hours a year. Or, I mean, we don't do lock-in contracts, but we hope that people would do 1 hour a month at minimum for 12 months on their strategy. And all of that to enable leaders to have more confidence that when they're going through their task list, they can say yes and no quicker. They have more confidence and conviction behind their yes and their no. And they know that even though the strategy is moving slow, it is moving and it is building momentum. And really, momentum builds as you make more strategy aligned decisions. So the faster you can make the decisions, and the faster that they're all aligned to the strategy, the faster your strategy is going to move. And so the more you do it, the more you practice, the better it is. Our role is basically to be accountability in that, and to also offer a level of third-party perspective, which often can just be, hey, doesn't seem like the agency's doing good work because your leads are down year month on month, or maybe it's leads are coming in, sales team's struggling to close them. The problem might be either your marketing leads or your sales team, all the way through to you say you want to bring on this much extra revenue. How are you going to manage that demand? Because currently you're saying that you're at 100%, the other director's at 100%, and then your admin staff are at 100%. It's nice to have this ambition, but how are you going to deal with it? And so then we, Sam, my offsider, he works in people strategy. And so we help bring in and identify resources that are going to be able to triage that part of your business. Because look, we work with many businesses, and some of them literally watch hundreds of millions of dollars wash down the drain every year because they don't fix one of those three things.
Those big constraints. No, it's the Hormozy term. And I'd say it's whether you're running an organization that's 50, 500 lawyers, or you're just a sole prac and you're the CEO of your own thing, you still have to make those strategic decisions. So it's nice to hear that you bring in everyone, because ultimately a sole practitioner is going to have the accountant, they're going to have the spouse, they're going to have the marketing team likely after a bit. And they are going to be delegating a lot of tasks. And so if everyone can be on that page, that's huge for the direction. But also for me, and maybe this is just a personal thing, but I believe every entrepreneur has a curse. And I think it's a blessing, because the thing that gets you into entrepreneurship is, I see a need, I can fill a need, I'm going to do it myself. You see the opportunity. But once you've then decided to pursue that opportunity, that step into self-employment, you can't stop seeing opportunity. And the danger becomes, and I've gone through my 20s seeing this, and it wasn't until I started listening to Hormozy, is like the whole thing, it should become almost boring, because you're just so, and you should almost become boring, that you're so obsessed with just this one little problem, which for me has been the last 3 years. Help lawyers become self-employed. I didn't know what they needed. Turns out most of them needed the business development, the client acquisition. So that's where all my attention went. But like, we've got a group now of 50, and a lot of them, they're starting to do well. So what was the next thing they need? Well, they're going to need vendors. They're going to need buying power. They're going to need things. So for me and Courtney, we just go, again, what serves that mission that's going to help more people become self-employed? Put all your resources. You got 24 hours each day. I tell anyone, Elon Musk has the same 24 hours, but by golly, he seems to invest it differently and more strategically.
That's it. And to be honest, like, to channel more Hormozy, like, he is a big advocate for spend money to solve problems and do it fast. So we have a list of ground rules. Every client gets introduced to these ground rules every month, and we don't harp on them. But some of the ground rules literally are: problems don't disappear, even if you stop looking at them. So the onus is on solve the problems, just get rid of them. And
Yeah.
some of them are going to cost you a bit of money. Some of them are just going to cost you a bit of time, but just deal with it. We also have a saying, not my monkey, not my zoo. And eventually one pet monkey can be fun. Once you start getting a couple, it starts turning more from pets to zoo. And we try and champion this idea of like, minimize your monkeys, because monkeys on the back is weight on your mind. And that, again, if you talk about the psychology of business, like particularly for small business and entrepreneurs, once you start having the monkeys on your back and your mind is just constantly filled with how am I going to solve these monkeys, it gets really, really hard to then focus on the things that you're doing the entrepreneurial journey for, which is stuff like your freedom, family, travel, opportunity of choice. Like all those things start to disappear because all your time is consumed with trying to not focus on the things that you need to focus on.
Yeah.
And so,
And no,
yeah,
and I love it. And I think that's obviously what you guys are doing is it's the hard part about it, particularly the self-employed lawyer, is your job is to tackle the hardest problem in your business every single day, which is
yeah,
like, can't I just get easy clients coming in? I'll convert them. I'll do the work I love. And it's not. Your job is actually to solve the hardest problem, or like you said, outsource
delegate
to
it.
someone else. But to outsource, you must have your strategy so clear, because
Yeah.
otherwise they will just run with it. And if you're not clear on the strategy, they go, well, we reckon this direction. You go, well, I don't know, this direction didn't work, so maybe I'll just run that direction for a little bit. But if you've got the strategy, I need to run toward here. Can you guys help me get there sooner? I don't have enough leads right now. Can you get me the leads? Yes. Okay. Then we're running in the same direction, which is, yeah, a wonderful thing. And it helps the focus. Like I
Yeah.
find that the core thing I think I like to give people after a call is clarity. If I can do that for someone, because for me, it's huge. When I get to walk out and Courtney's like, what's on today's? I'm like, oh, I might edit the podcast and do this. She's like, does that right now, we're trying to get more interest in the brand. Is that the best thing? Or should you be following up on all the leads, the 50 leads we had last week? And you just go, yeah, you're right. So the first 2 hours, you just reorder your day.
Yeah.
Boom, solve that big problem. And then the rest of it takes care of itself.
Yeah. Order of operations, focusing on the things that are really like the highest leverage activities first, and then trickling down, and then also controlling what we can control. Like that's a really big principle we try and help management teams, less so, I mean, obviously everyone, but when we work with management teams, so they sit underneath, say, directors or owners, quite often they get so caught up in these ideas of like, oh, what if this happens or that happens, or like if we did this, this could happen. And there's so many coulds, ifs, buts, what's, like, and we just go, hey, we need to focus on what we can control. What are the things, and we can control actions. So what are the actions you are going to do? I can't control the outcome of my marketing, because at the end of the day, that is the market doing its thing. But I can control all of the actions in between to make it more attractive to the market, or to optimize for a specific segment of the market, or to increase conversion, or to increase brand awareness. Whatever your objective is, I can control the actions. So we need to focus on what we can control and leave the things that we can't control. Just leave them to the areas, to the people who can control them. And it's not to say we don't take feedback and we don't adjust from that feedback, but it's more around, if I'm just continuously focused on things that I have zero ability to control, it just feels like I'm trying to capture, what is it, like sweep back the ocean. You're just trying to do something that actually is impossible to do. And so again, it comes back to how you strategically aligning everything, how you're focusing on that, how you're making your decisions out of your strategy, and then how you're communicating that throughout your entire organization / your network, how are people holding you accountable, and do you have true clarity on where you want to go and what you want to achieve? And if you can say yes to that last question, then the rest of it just falls into place if you go through the right process.
Yep. No, that's great. Second to last one. Why have you guys partnered up and become part of the League Loot membership with Self-Employed Lawyers League? And do you know how you found us? Was it LinkedIn, or where did you actually find us?
I have no idea, to be honest. I believe Sam got in contact. Now, Sam is incredibly well connected. He's a great guy. He's one of the most diligent humans I've ever met. We have a policy for hiring, which is we hire for diligence, train on competence. He he's both extremely competent and just one of the most diligent, and his network is insane because of that. And so I don't know if we met through that or whether it was through LinkedIn. I'm not sure, but we are excited about the Cell Life community and being part of the vendor arrangement, purely because one of the biggest barriers for us is working with businesses that have a vision to actually do business the right way, or like to do business well from the get-go. And so when a bunch of businesses are a part of a system that champions that exact value, we want to be a part of it, because our value is emphasized when people are growing and they're winning and they're achieving their strategic objectives. Our value diminishes when things are slow, they're not growing, they have no real direction or purpose. And again, we can help with those things, but to be in part of a community where that is the normal, hugely, like, we just love that opportunity. And we particularly work well with professional services. So obviously a league of lawyers and law firms, perfect for us. We've got great experience in that domain. But it's probably more just the attitude. Like, it's a group of people and they are committed to doing things the right way the first time, which means that for us, we don't have to spend a majority of our customer journey convincing you that strategy is important and that it will influence every decision that you make from this point out. They already understand that, and it's just about, can we add the value? Can we deliver ROI to them that is to their liking and deliver true value and impact to their business? One of the great sort of stats that we have is for our work, we know that we deliver at minimum a 6-to-1 dollar ratio. So for every $1 someone spends with us, we generally will see $6 generated or saved according to the work that we do. So not a guarantee, but currently we sit a little bit above that as an aggregate across all our clients. And we're hoping to increase that in 2026.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And that's, true Hormozy style. There should be if you don't know those numbers, you should know those numbers. And then, but for lawyers, if they can see the evidence of getting this in line, getting my strategy in line, and then being held accountable to it, that's great. And the values, and that's what when I first met Sam, was inside our app, the opening line, and all over my LinkedIn and everywhere we do it, is the rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes.
Which is that underpinning. Because for me, business moves quickly when there's trust. And we put so much time into figuring out, I can move quickly with nearly anyone I meet. Within 30 minutes, we can be doing business together because I can build that trust. That's a lot of the stuff I've learned, the persuasion. But underpinning it was simply my personal belief that I just want to see people win. And as far as I'm concerned, if enough people win around me, I'll inevitably get a win. And it's that simple. And the same thing I sort of tell anyone when they join vendors or otherwise. If you just have that mindset, I don't yet know how we'll get there. I know we're going to grow pretty quick this year and beyond. But if everyone in there believes the rising tide lifts all boats, we're going to be able to solve some big problems together because, and importantly, we're not going to have to resolve, like you said. Once someone learns it, sweet. Like, what's the next thing we have to tackle? What's the next big hurdle in the business or in our organization that we can go to? So very exciting to get you on. Now, before we go, obviously this will be in the app, but it'll be going public. For league members or self-employed lawyers who aren't yet, what is the offer for our self-employed lawyers league members?
Yeah, exclusive for self-employed league members. 20% off our strategy management month to month. Again, there's no lock-in contracts. It is just a month-to-month arrangement. We generally want people to give it red hot shot. Like, again, strategy is a slow moving beast. Don't expect to see massive improvements over the first 3 months. In fact, you'll probably uncover more headaches in the first 3 months than you will find wins. But that is part of going back to basics on your strategy. But the best part is you're going to be saving 20% on each of those first 3 months anyway. So it's going to be less painful on the bank. But yeah, 20% off strategy management services. There are 3 tiers. And really that's just based on how fast do you want to move. So again, we return back to the idea of your strategy moves at the speed at which you make strategically aligned decisions. We offer 3 sort of tiers, and as you progress through the tiers, we can help you make more strategically aligned decisions each month and therefore progress your strategy faster. But at a base level, it starts at, now I've got to do maths, $1,500 minus 20%.
Yep. 1,200. I'm quick.
There it is.
No, fantastic. Well, for our league members, this will be in the app once this airs on YouTube and Spotify, etc. And if you're not a league member, I'd encourage you to sign up, because we've got vendors like Understand Your Group helping our lawyers. And we're going to take a lot of market share from the traditional firms if I and Courtney have our way. So, Andy, very nice meeting you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me, and look forward to a bright 2026.